welcome back to the show. Up next, we have a very special guest here to tell the world of the value of one of her most famous and beloved books, Eleanor and Puck. Please welcome Rainbow Rowell!
Hi Cooper, thank you so much for having me.
So Rainbow, tell the audience what happened to you recently.
Well, I was informed about a week ago by the International Public Library that they are archiving books that are no longer relevant, and that my book is on the list that is being considered. And I'm here to tell you why I think archiving my book would be a big mistake.
Well, I for sure think it's a mistake. Before you make your case, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and your achievements?
For starters, I live in Omaha, Nebraska, where Eleanor Park takes place. I have a husband and 2 wonderful sons who are my entire life besides writing. In my career, I have won 2 awards, the Goodreads Choice Awards Best Young Adult Fiction and the Goodreads Choice Awards Best Fiction. So far, I have 12 books published, and I cannot wait to write more.
Wow, that's amazing! Now, on to Eleanor and Park. What inspired you to write it?
I wrote Eleanor and Park in 2013, a time when there was a lot of tragedy and sadness in the world. The Boston Marathon bombing had just happened, Nelson Mandela died, there were horrific tornadoes that ruined so many homes in and around Oklahoma. But within all the tragedy was a glimmer of happiness. Prince George was born and Pope Francis was elected. I took the idea of a world of tragedy that searches for little pockets of hope as an idea for the central theme of Eleanor and Park. Eleanor had a really bad home life. Her stepfather Richie is abusive, her family is poor, and she has to share a room with her 4 little siblings, which has made her a really cynical person. But then she meets Park, a half-Korean boy from her neighborhood, who has the perfect family. His parents are madly in love, and Park has everything he needs. Park becomes a light for Eleanor and a means of escape from her reality.
So you took what you saw around you and translated it into what would it be like for an individual person?
Exactly.
Well, it surely worked out. Back to the real reason you're here. Did the library tell you why your book is being reconsidered?
Yes, they did. They said that my book contained vile profanity and pornographic material, which is unsafe for teenagers to read and a bad influence. They also cited specific quotes from people who submitted my book for reconsideration, which really hurt because those people don't even know me.
Yeah, that's really tough. I actually was given the quotes by your agent. Is it okay if I read them?
Of course. If anything, it'll help my case once people hear how nasty these comments are.
From Troy Cooper, a citizen living in Pennsylvania. It's the most profane and obscene work I have ever read in my life. And from Virginia, Senator Amanda Chase. Eleanor and Park is pornographic and filled with vile, and nasty language.
See, the thing that makes me the most upset about these comments is that they're from people who aren't even the target audience. The book wasn't written for them, so obviously they don't understand why the book contains curse words and sexually suggestive language. The main characters don't even really say any of these things that are being complained about. It's all the adults in the book, and I did it to show how vulgar and sometimes violent the characters' worlds are. On the first page, Park is pressing his headphones into his ears. He's trying to block out the profanity, and Eleanor hates that her stepfather curses so much. She complains about it throughout the book. There's also some pretty vulgar sexual language that people have objected to. Someone harasses Eleanor by writing gross things on her school books. It's one of the more traumatic things that happens to her. It's an integral part of the book and of Eleanor's story. If I hadn't used such language, the shock value and the sympathy for Eleanor wouldn't be as strong.
Did you think when writing this book that parents would have such a strong reaction?
No, not at all. I knew some people may be uncomfortable with the language, but not to this extent. If anything, I thought parents would like their children reading a book that's real. I don't sugarcoat anything. There's some tough stuff in there, but a lot of stuff our kids are dealing with is tough.
I totally agree. Thank you so much for coming today, Rainbow.
Thank you for having me.